Go ahead.
And,
Do Coolio.
I actually switched it up.
Oh, okay.
Alright, let's hit it.
Is that Gronk or Tom Brady I see?
This is Gronk. No, it's Tom.
Happy Friday, my people.
Happy
We're
Friday,
on the
everybody.
pod here with the great Thomas Brady here.
Thomas Edward Patrick.
I knew you knew his middle name. Jesus.
I watched too much of
How would people?
I watched too much of Skip Bayless. I'm not gonna lie. Or I used to.
Oh, he does. He does always use his full name. All right. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Highlights of the show. We're going to be talking about March Madness, the games that are going on right now, maybe some betting lines of the later games. And I think we're going to do some betting on the NBA games briefly. And then we'll probably talk about NFL free agency because there were some pretty big signings earlier this week. So that's going to be the show. How are you doing today, Brady?
Dude, I'm well, and I'm glad that you're taking the charge here and providing us with some great introduction. You'll love to see it.
Thank you. I learned from the best, obviously.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Okay, well, so we'll talk about mostly two games because one game just started. But so right now we got Virginia Tech and Florida playing. Virginia Tech, the 10 seed, is beating the 7 seed Florida by, I think they're beating them 42-36 right now. What do you see? 15 minutes left. Where do you see this game going, Brady?
Well, a lot of people actually had that matchup circled, and that being said, I think it was pretty 50-50. It might be leaning Virginia Tech. I know they opened up as favorites, even though they're in the 10 seed, right? So, I mean, these Vegas and these other odds makers, they disregard a lot of the seeding, right? Because seeding doesn't really mean a lot unless you're looking at like 1-16, 2-15, and all that.
Yeah, no.
I don't really know too much about the matchup, but I'm just saying, like, even Rutgers against Clemson, Rutgers was favored. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're the 7 or 10 because Vegas is going to figure out who's going to likely win.
I think after talking to Riley, we kind of got the fact that the ACC really hasn't been very good this year, and I think that hurt Virginia Tech, and that's why they're in the 10 seed. And I also think that people looked at the strength of schedule, and that's why they had the Rutgers beating Clemson.
Yeah, definitely.
So I do think. I mean, I'll always ride with the SEC. I know I don't love Florida, but we chose Florida for our bracket. But Virginia Tech, Brady's right. They came out right before the game started. They were the favorites. Not too shocking in a 7-10 matchup, but it's going to be a great game. It's been close the whole game. So
yeah, man, I'm just glad that March Madness is back, and once these games start ramping up, we're gonna have like maybe 3 or 4 on at once. It's always a fun time,
Yeah, definitely. So last thing we'll say: are you still rolling with our pick, Florida or Virginia Tech? Are you leaning towards more now?
I mean, Florida is up, or I mean, Florida is down. And I feel like they've been down the whole game, so they've got to make something happen. I don't think you can count anyone out in March Madness because 2 minutes, 3 minutes to go, things could change. Something could happen. Someone hits a three. It's just craziness. So I mean, I'm gonna roll with our pick here because that's what I would like to see. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything you said. I watched a lot of SEC this year. The SEC was pretty tough. Florida, they aren't what they were back in the early thousands, or not the early thousands, the later thousands, the 2005 to 2010. The Al Horford, Joakim Noah teams. But they are still a force to be reckoned with. I think they could come back. On that note, what you just said, Colgate was up big on Arkansas. 5 minutes into the game, they were up by 10 points, which is that feels like 25 points in college basketball, What do you think about that?
I mean, right now, so it's halftime. Arkansas has a 3-point lead going into the half. I see this being a close game. A lot of people had Colgate as one of the dogs that had a good chance of making an upset. Them and the who's playing Virginia. That was the other one.
Ohio.
Ohio. So Ohio and Colgate were two like random teams that people had kind of kept an eye on, and I mean, I could definitely see it being a close game down to the wire.
Yeah, I didn't. We should have done a little better research. I didn't know. According to Colgate, went 14-1 this season, so that's pretty impressive. Now that I look back at that, I think they were making a lot of threes to start off, and with the three ball, you could get up on a team that's much better than you talent wise. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I think Arkansas will pull this one out. I do think with Ohio, I was listening to Jay Bayless this morning when he was on with Greeny. First take or the first things. No, it's first take. No, it's not first take. It's Get Up. And he was talking about Ohio does have that point guard that's projected to go in the first round. Colgate is kind of just like an unknown, kind of squad. They don't really have a guy that's going to get drafted, a high draft pick. So I do think Ohio has that going for them, unlike Colgate.
We do have a live viewer comment by the name of Nicholas Schumann. Schumann, if you're still there, thanks for joining us. And Nicholas Schumann says, "Fuck Florida."
Well, Schumann, I can't agree with you more. Roll Tide.
All right, Dean. There's one other game that's on right now. Illinois is starting to pull away here, 25-17. They're a little bit closer from the start. Do you expect anything interesting out of the 1 versus 16 matchup?
A lot of people, we don't, but a lot of people have Illinois in their Final Four. They're a tough team. I still think the Big Ten was the toughest conference this year, followed by the Big 12, like close on its heels. But the Big Ten was tough, and they won the Big Ten.
Yeah.
It was a tough conference, and it was close the first 10 minutes, but Illinois is pulling away. There isn't going to be a 16-1 upset this year. That's not gonna happen. That may never happen again. That may never happen again. So. Yeah. Oh, looks like Utah State and Texas Tech just started.
And Schumann doubles down and says, LMAO, Roll Tide. Thanks for viewing with us right now, Schumann.
Thanks, Schumann. We really appreciate it.
And we look forward to that logo that is in the works. As you can see.
That's actually a graphic designer that we have contracted.
If you guys want to check him out on Instagram, it's Redfaceboy. He has some really interesting work on there, so check him out. And,
he's really talented.
Yeah. Shout outs
Thank you, Schumann.
Shout outs to the Schumann.
So, Brady. Okay, so we still rolling with Illinois, obviously. Both of us. I didn't ask you. So, are you still cool with our Arkansas pick, or would you go with Colgate?
I mean, either way, right? We have Arkansas losing in the next round. So, I mean, strategically, and we kind of look at this like it doesn't really matter. It could be beneficial either way.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so, but if you had to choose, if you were betting right now, live betting.
If I'm live betting, I might take Colgate spread because I feel like Arkansas would probably be the favorite there.
Yeah.
I think that Colgate can hang out. So.
Same. Okay, yeah. Speaking of, we have in our bracket, guys. Utah State and Texas Tech are playing. We need Texas Tech to win because we actually have them upsetting Arkansas in the next round. So, what are your thoughts? I mean, it just started. It's 2 minutes in, 5-4, Texas Tech. But what's your confidence level in this matchup?
On Utah State, Texas Tech, I see that being a low-scoring game, right? Because Utah State's got that really big center, and they play really slow. So I just see it being kind of a grinded-out game, especially here in the first half while they're trying to get used to it.
You know what's really interesting? They're kind of two countering ways of playing basketball because the Big 12 is run and gun, Yeah. The Big 12, they're just trying to outscore you, right? So it's interesting how those two polar opposites are clashing right now. So it's going to be Utah State's defense or Texas Tech's offense. Yeah. So I'm still rolling with our Texas Tech pick. I mean, it's just started, but
Yeah, man, it's always interesting to see how when matchups work like that, what's gonna pan out, because analysts can only do so much. There's only so much you can do to look into a matchup and say okay, this team has this going on, this team has that. You really just got to watch it and see it play it out, because there's so many different factors, especially in a one-game series like March Madness.
Yeah, and the other thing, COVID, some different times of the season, different teams had to deal with different COVID protocols, and that changes everything. And a lot of them didn't play their full schedules. Why we see, Colgate going 14-1, and then we see Arkansas. They were able to play 28 games. They went 22-6. They almost played twice the amount of games. It's hard. I think that's why a lot of analysts picked the higher seeds. More so this year than in the past. Oklahoma State is the only. Oklahoma State and Texas are the only Final Four teams that I'm hearing that are that low. No one's chosen a 5 seed or lower. Sometimes it happens. I think they're putting all their faith into the higher seeds because less of the preparation.
So you're right. They have more of a portfolio, right? They have just more games played. But I feel like you could make the same argument that these teams like Colgate that have only played 16 or so games are fresher and are less, tired because they had just played less games, traveled less times. I
agree with that, but they're also these are really young guys. This isn't NBA, right? These guys are in their early 20s or they're teenagers.
You're right. The travel and the games played. Sorry to interrupt you there. It's not as big of a factor, but I still think that you can look at either side and still find, because I feel like there are going to be some upsets still, and that could be a factor going forward.
Oh no, definitely. I feel like we have a lot of upsets on our good amount.
Yeah, it's no fun taking the favorites.
I do think in college, you know what? That's a good point that you made. I think that, and I don't know, I didn't follow Colgate this year. If they got in I think practice matters more to college players than games. So I do agree with you on that. I think if Colgate, when they weren't playing all these games, they played half the games Arkansas. If they were practicing a lot, I think that's actually might be more beneficial, because college guys, they don't, they're not as connected as NBA players on the court. They need a lot of practice, So
no, definitely.
Maybe it did help them. That's a good point.
So, Dean, we've kind of gone over the games that are on right now, and we're going to let those pan out. Do you want to maybe take some picks here at the upcoming games today and maybe go off with some spreads?
Yeah, let's just go down the list of the other 14 games or whatever it is.
Well, we can. How about I'll pick out some that kind of stood out to me, and then I'll ask what you think.
Okay, yeah,
because I feel like going over all 14 might take a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an interesting one. The Oral Roberts Golden Eagles are the 15 seed against Ohio State Buckeyes, number 2.
Yeah.
And the spread is at 15. Some experts are hammering the underdog here to cover a 15-point spread, as surprisingly this is the strongest 15 seed. They average 82 points a game in the season.
So they shoot the three. They shoot the three well.
They shoot the three well. So
any team that shoots the three well, they always have a chance. Yeah. From that, I think they could cover 15. I mean, I agree on that.
Yeah, Ohio State's got a really stout defense, so
they're known for defense. Yeah, they're not some. They do score well, but Ohio State's a lockdown defensive team. So if Oral Roberts can start raining down some threes, keep the game close.
Totally agree, and we'll see how that one goes forward.
So we're agreeing Oral Roberts to cover 15 points.
Yep.
What's your next one?
Next one here is I guess Texas Tech is already playing, so I don't really think we
Yeah.
can do anything on there.
The
But
Wisconsin North Carolina game is like split. It's UNC -1.5. That's right.
I would stay as far away from that game
That game's so sketch.
as I can, because like that's just a coin flip. I don't like coin flips.
I hope Wisconsin. We have Wisconsin winning that game. I'm kind of worried.
That game is probably one of the closer games like out there.
That's man, that's such a even for a 9-8 matchup. That's a freaking close. That's close.
Yeah, no, totally. No, there's not too many interesting games on.
Didn't you have a? Sorry to cut you off. Didn't you have a? Last night, didn't you do Houston covering 20 against Cleveland State?
So yesterday I made a parlay. I did Houston -20 because I feel like of all teams in the March Madness tournament, they have the ability to just score like crazy. Like,
What do they score 90 points a game? Like they're crazy.
Ridiculous. So they can blow a team out by 30 or 40 if they get on their roll. So I took that and then I parlayed that with Rutgers to cover money line against Clemson. Oklahoma State.
That's going to be a close one. Yeah.
Oklahoma State to win, and then I did Georgetown upset money line.
Okay. Yeah, so we could talk about that. So I agreed with Brady. We talked about this last night. He conferred in me. I appreciate it. Houston covering 20 because they're just of all the teams, like as Brady said. So Ohio State's also one of the other two seeds, but they're like lockdown defensive team. Man, Houston. I don't know if they're the highest scoring. Baylor might be a little higher, but they're close. They're like in the top 3 or 4 in scoring in college basketball. So I could see them just putting their foot on the throat of Cleveland State. So I agree. I think Houston will cover the 20.
Yeah, Baylor and Houston are very comparable because those are the two teams that like they're just like these just offensive, just super juggernauts where they're gonna win their games by a lot.
Yeah,
but I feel like if they find themselves down at some point in this tournament, it's going to be a matter of if they can fight the adversity in which they haven't really had to face through most of the season.
Well, the thing is, what I got from Brady was the Big 12 is this. It's basically just a scoring, league, right? I don't think it's unlike the Big 10. I feel like the Big 10 is more well-rounded. I think Houston and Baylor, they just try to run you off the floor. I don't think it's. I mean, granted, they haven't been in many close games this year, so we don't know what the hell their defense is really like, right?
Yeah.
They've been running teams off the court, so you're right. So they probably haven't had, not to go back to the Warriors, but that's, when the Warriors were up and coming and good, they were blowing teams out, and it's like, can you win a close game, when not all your shots are falling? And we're going to see with Houston and Baylor. I mean, that's why you and I don't have Houston and Baylor making the Final Four.
Yeah, I have a hard time trusting teams that are just so sprint.
Offensively,
it's like a sprint versus a marathon. And
run TMC, man.
It's a sprint versus a marathon, and I'd take the marathon runner all day.
Yeah, good comparison. And then jumping to one of your other ones. So Rutgers over Clemson. Yeah, so the spread is 2 points. Rutgers is favored. Yeah. So you took Rutgers money line?
I took Rutgers money line. I believe it was around 120.
Okay.
Minus 120.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's going to be a close game either way. I don't know. I just have a hard time believing that Clemson put together a good enough basketball team in that division. I kind of just base my pick there off of feel, and a lot of people are following that same pick.
I've heard it so much in the past couple of days. I don't even think it's considered an upset. People think Rutgers are going to win that game.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people have Rutgers there. It'll be surprising to see Clemson win. Unless they get Trevor Lawrence out on the court, I don't see them having a chance.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. Just for crafts, do you think Baylor is going to cover 25.5 against Hartford? That's a lot of
So,
points.
so when I looked at that line, I was thinking to myself, I was like, okay, I could see it being one of those spreads where it's like they're up 30 the whole game, and then
They take their foot off the gas.
the other team hits a couple garbage time threes, and then they win by 23. You know?
I know. I totally get that vibe. I totally.
So, but it's like I don't want to bet on the scrub team to do garbage time cover. I don't like backdoor covers like at all.
No.
So I'm just not gonna bet on that game.
I feel kind of dirty when I do that. It's like
a backdoor cover is like stressful, and it's just not like.
And yeah, it's like wow. Yeah. And the only nice thing is everyone else is pissed, and you're like, yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I appreciate the backdoor cover, but it's just not something that you should try and look for in betting because it's very luck.
No.
Based.
You're a spitball if you do that. Yeah. Yeah. We have there are some good games we could talk about. We could talk about two more.
Bring them out. Bring them out. Bring them out.
Yeah. So two other games. We've almost covered all the games. It's funny. But so the Georgia Tech Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago is only favored by 5.5. We have Georgia Tech winning that game.
That's another 8. That's another 8 and a 9, right?
Yeah.
I think you have a good chance of just doing some coin flips and betting on those 8 and 9 games because I don't know. I feel like every year on the 8 and 9, I'm always like 2 out of 4. You know. Yeah. I feel like it's just the ultimate 50-50.
It is definitely. I mean, hence why it's the 9 and the 8 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so Loyola Chicago 5.5. Where we took Georgia Tech. Well, we would take a money line, but it is a toss up.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most widespread that we've seen in the 8 and the 9 because I know Wisconsin and North Carolina have a 1.5 or a 2-point spread.
Oh, it's basically a 50-50 game. Yeah. It's 1.5.
Yeah, so I guess Loyola Chicago being -5 here.
They're 24-4, so they had a really good season.
Yeah, man, but it comes down to like what's going on. After I watched that Michigan State UCLA game, and we can go into that a little bit here. It's just like they're up 5 points in the final minute. That doesn't matter in March Madness. I mean, maybe in a NBA game, it doesn't mean anything because it's they're not. There's no scenario where one game matters so much, and that's what's so cool about March Madness.
I know it's one and done. You're out.
I love the volatile and just like exciting.
It's just adrenaline because they're playing for their lives.
And it's random too, man. Like there is no other like sports phenomenon that is as random as March Madness, Yeah. And I feel like that's what makes it so amazing.
This is why, like in the NBA, though, they how they used to do 5-game series because the better team would sometimes lose, right?
Yeah.
Because basketball can be just who's hot, right? Yeah. That's why in the NBA playoffs they changed them all to 7 games every round, except for I'm not talking about the play-in. But that's what makes college basketball, as you said, so volatile and sick. It's like, holy crap, like, whoa, is this team going to upset this giant, like, powerhouse school, this school with, like, 10,000 kids in it is going to beat this school with, like, 80,000 kids? It's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
And then our last matchup, who we have this upset, but Winthrop in Villanova, the 12-5. Villanova is -6.5. Your thoughts?
Man, I mean, we talked with Riley about it. Their ball handler's out, and I don't know when he's going to be coming back, but he's not going to be playing in this game. So it's going to be a matter of the other guys stepping up for Villanova. And I know the 12 seed upset in the 5 is no, it's not a new thing in college basketball. It happens pretty much every year. So
it's the average is that two of the 12-5s, I think, every single year.
Because 12 is like far away from 16, where it's like that's a team that is, very.
They went 23-1 this year.
They're competitive, man.
They're more than competitive. I think they were ranked.
They're dominant. Ranked. They're dominant. So
yeah,
just being in that position where you're, having a competitive season, it doesn't really matter if you're a 12 seed, and I feel like players can use that as motivation.
Definitely. So we're taking Winthrop money line.
I like him 5.5 plus.
You like 5.5?
I think that's fair. I feel like the spread should be closer to 3. So
yeah, that's a good call. Didn't Riley also tell us that Villanova? Well, not just that their injury, but like they also had to deal with some COVID stuff. Weren't they like limping to the finish line, Villanova? Like they
were struggling there at the end.
They were struggling the last couple weeks. Yeah, so that's a good call. Winthrop to cover 5.5. I think that's mostly it. I mean, we have West Virginia, Morehead State. We took West Virginia. San Diego State and Syracuse might be kind of close, but we took SDSU.
We'll include our top 3 picks, which would probably be Rutgers. What were the other ones?
Rutgers. Like just money line picks?
I like Houston -20.
Yeah, Houston -20. Rutgers money line, and so you got.
And we'll put the top 3 in the description, but let's see what's.
Yeah, we'll add them.
What do you think the third is?
I think Georgia Tech will cover 5.5. I don't know. 5.5 seems like a lot to me. And that 9-8.
All right, so we'll take 5.5 on Georgia Tech, and then.
I mean, I looked at the other games, the other 9-8 games. All the other ones, none of them have a spread that large.
Well, then we'll do Rutgers, Houston -20, and then Rutgers money line, Houston -20, and then Georgia Tech plus 5.5.
Yeah.
Those are our 3 money picks today, and we'll see how we do on Monday.
Yeah. Okay, let me write those down. So Georgia Tech plus 5.5, Houston to cover 20, and then what was the last one? It was
Georgia Tech plus 5.5.
I had that one.
Houston -20.
Oh, Rutgers money line.
Yep.
Sorry, Rutgers money line. Okay, cool. All right, those are our 3 college basketball. We'll pick it up on Monday. It's gonna be crazy. So today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So there'll be games Monday too. So we'll just pick up where we left off on Monday with that.
Hey, so let's change pace here and let's talk about some NFL free agency really quick.
Yeah, awesome. It's been crazy. Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky just signed as a backup for the Bills.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. It makes sense with Josh Allen's reckless abandonment and how he likes running the ball.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do think that he's a physical freak. He's 6'5", 240 or whatever. And he's like strong and fast. I want to see him slide more. I don't think if I'm a Bills fan, it's nice. Mitchell Trubisky is a really, really good backup. He's
probably one of the top backups in the league.
Yeah, I mean he can start for one of the 32 teams, so that tells you. But I wouldn't want to bank on that. I think Josh Allen needs to chill running the ball a little bit, because one game he's going to get lit up by someone he doesn't see, and he's going to be out 5 weeks, and then maybe that's how guys have gotten long-lasting concussion problems. All it takes is one really bad one, and then you're more susceptible, or a lower body injury.
Yeah, I saw him go down a couple of times in the regular season, so I think he does need to be more careful when he's running with the football.
He's a beast. I mean, if you're in the playoffs and you need to get a first down, do it. I think if he's not in the playoffs and it's not like game on the line, like he's got to chill with running into trying to truck guys. He shouldn't be trucking guys. There's a reason they're paying you that much money. They don't want you to get hit. So,
I'm sure the Bills are probably going to have that conversation with him now that they have Trubisky too.
Yeah, definitely. And what else? the Niners signed Trent Williams and Alex Mack, so reinforced the center. Richburg, I believe, is going to retire. He didn't play, I think, half a season with the Niners, healthy. So Mack, I think it's 2 years, averaging $5.5 million a year, and at 35, and he's been with Kyle Shanahan before. I like it. I like it. He was with the Falcons, And Trent Williams is the best left tackle in football, and he's getting paid $163 million for 6 years, I think, or something like that. Making him, you told me about it. What was the pettiness, by the way?
On a yearly basis, he'll be getting paid $10,000 more than David Bakhtiari. So that's $10,000 is nothing to these guys. So it was,
he shouted him out, right?
It was purely just a friendly banter, if you will.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. After you told me that, I looked it up. Like, you petty man, but good luck. Hilarious. I'm really glad.
A lot of respect to Bach. He's a local guy for me and Dean, and he seems like a fun guy all around. And good job on getting the contract, Trent.
Yeah, he's worth it. He's worth every penny. I as a Niners fan, I think they could have lost every other one of their free agents, and they kept him. I would have been happy because he's just too important. Left tackle is one of the most important positions in football.
Yeah, it's up there. Blindside, man.
I know. Unless you're Tua or Michael Vick, lefties.
Or Steve Young.
Steve Young. Good. Yeah. So what else happened in free agency?
So recently, Jared Cook just signed with
the Chargers, right?
The Chargers.
Yeah, 1 year, right? 1 year, $5 or $6 million.
Yeah. So I mean, that was them trying to replace what they had just lost with Hunter Henry.
We need to talk about that. But still on Jared Cook, I think that was genius of them. I think Jared Cook almost puts up the same value as Hunter Henry, and he's way cheaper.
$6 million, I think 6.1.
Yeah. And Hunter Henry's getting paid through the roof, right? So
yeah, the thing about Hunter Henry, dude, is like I don't really know if
you're not a big fan of him, right?
I know he had a really good opening season, and then since then he had maybe one or two like quality like top 10 tight end seasons, but he's also been inconsistent, and I know he has some injury problems.
He did get hurt for like a whole year, right? Wasn't he out like one whole year a couple years ago or a year ago?
Yeah, and I just feel like he hasn't really been the same because he came out of the freaking gate just running like he looked like a top 5 tight end. He was catching touchdowns like every week. Yeah.
I do think that this last year he had a good quarterback, but before that he really hadn't had that many good quarterbacks. And I do think that God, I'm blanking right now. The Oregon guy, Herbert. Yeah. So what I noticed with Herbert is, unlike the past Chargers quarterbacks, he loves taking those shots downfield.
He's not a tight end guy.
No, he's not. He's not a check down tight end guy. He's throwing bombs to Keenan Allen, So you did see a lot of targets dry up for him. We played fantasy football. Didn't you see that? His targets went down once Herbert went in.
Yeah, Tyrell Williams also. He's still on the Chargers, right?
Yeah, but those are the bombers.
Yeah, no. I was saying so Keenan and Tyrell, but yeah, Hunter Henry wasn't really getting the checkdowns, right?
Yeah, well, he wasn't getting targets at all. He was only getting 4 a game. And he at his peak he was getting 8. I do think that is a factor.
I think I will say this though, and I know you're probably going to allude to it. Bill loves his tight end combos. Throughout the last 15 years or so, we've seen since they drafted Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, RIP, in 2011.
Yeah.
Man, he really since then has just been utilizing the tight end so much, and it's just what Bill can do with the 2 tight ends is worrisome for teams that are facing him this year.
I did think it was pretty funny that the two highest paid guys on his team that he paid in free agency was Jono Smith and Hunter Henry. Going back to the double tight end days of old when it was like a flash in the pan. We only saw Aaron Hernandez and Gronk play like a year and a half together, but it was amazing to watch.
They were beasts.
Those two guys are not. You have to give Aaron Hernandez this. That 1 year that he had across from Gronk was a top 10 tight end season ever.
Well, he had 12 touchdowns. Gronk had 19. I mean, they were just putting a hurt on the entire league.
And their yards, didn't they have like 3,000 yards combined or something? Like it was.
I think Gronk had an insane amount, but Hernandez was still really good. And Hernandez really played well in the Super Bowl against the Giants.
They had two top 5 tight ends on the same team. These guys, they have 2 top 10 tight ends.
Both drafted, too.
Yeah. Well, Bill never has a problem. That's the only, and it's funny because that's still kind of a part of the line, you know. I think that the Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, they paid another receiver. It's kind of a crapshoot. They're just trying to. None of those guys are wide receiver ones. I don't know why. Kenny Golladay, they left him out there. Kenny Golladay and Juju's not a one. Kenny is a one.
Even I think like Curtis Samuel would have been a good pickup for the Patriots.
Yeah, he's on the Jets. Yeah. But Curtis Samuel,
he got signed. He got signed by the Washington football team.
Oh, you're right. He's with Terry McLaurin. They played at Ohio State.
I think Washington is far and away my pick to win the division. I know they won it last year, but their defense is so stacked and their offense is looking nice.
It depends on the quarterback play. I think Washington should draft a quarterback.
Heineke was all right, though. I mean, did you see the way he played against the Bucs?
I know, yeah. I mean, he's got Terry McLaurin is a true wide receiver 1, and Curtis Samuel is a very, very good wide receiver 2. So I do like that combination.
Curtis Samuel reminds me a lot of Debo. Yeah.
Running with reckless abandonment, trying to truck people, a lot of screens and flip passes. I still think that's crazy that they count that as a pass. It totally not to crap on Jimmy Garoppolo, but half of his yards are those passes.
He gets quite a few yards on these short passes. You're right.
On those short passes that go for 40 yards.
When do we ever see Jimmy take deep shots, man?
Well, he missed Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl. We would have.
That one replays him on a hike, man. A couple of days ago, I was going on a hike and one of my buddies was bringing that play up, and that play literally is any time someone references Jimmy missing Emmanuel to lose us the game, I literally just see a TV flash up in front of me, and I just see that play air over and over again.
I'm not going to call it PTSD, but I can look at a wall and see the coverage and see he literally was open by 6 yards. He was 6 yards
and he airmailed
ahead
it.
of the defense. And he threw it over his head. How do you overthrow a guy that is 6 yards already past his
I don't think he was being that pressured either.
There was a little pressure.
I know, but you step into that throw in the Super Bowl. I don't give a shit. I don't care if it's fucking. I don't care if it's John or what's the guy? I'm forgetting the name. Taylor. I don't care if it's Lawrence Taylor coming at you. I want you to step into that throw, put it all on the line.
That's his career. That's his career highlight. That one play right there. And a highlight meaning that's what if he never wins the Super Bowl, that's what people are going to remember about Jimmy Garoppolo's career.
Can you imagine, Dean, if he had made that throw? What would his...
He'd be a legend. He would have brought the Super Bowl back. Well, we would be talking about... It would be a complete 180 of how people are talking about Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's crazy how,
It'd be it would change from, even though he makes reckless plays and has turnovers, when the game was on the line, he iced it. He won them the game. He is a clutch player. Since him missing that, oh my God, it's a complete 180. It's like he's not clutch. He throws a lot of picks. He turns over the ball a lot. He can't stay healthy.
Yeah, it's just
it's brutal.
He was on top of the world up until that point, and then it's a bummer the way his career has trajected since.
I don't know. Yeah, it's I'm not. We're not going to get stuck in the doldrums of that game. I'm looking at the wall, remembering it now because you brought it up.
That's literally what I was doing too. So you're good.
I know. So it's. I hope the Niners draft a quarterback. That's all I'm going to say. Oh, so Joe Flacco came in. Kyle Juszczyk was talking about him. They played together on the Ravens, and he came in. He came in and took a physical and talked to Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. He left today, I believe, or last night from the Bay, and he didn't have a contract, but talks are still open. So I do hope they draft a quarterback with their first pick. I really
What
hope
does
they
that
do.
mean if Joe Flacco is a Niner in the 2021-22 season?
I don't know if they're going to draft a quarterback. They already have Josh Rosen on their roster. Them getting a high-level backup quarterback, I don't know if they're going to draft.
Hey, the other
You know?
thing that I saw was the Bears released a All-Pro.
Oh, Kyle Fuller! Oh my God! Did you hear about that? Yeah.
So would you be down to run this thing back? Say they go after Kyle Fuller. They don't draft a quarterback. They get Joe Flacco instead. But they basically go all in on this season. They say, you know what? A rookie quarterback is good for the future, but it's not good for right now. Let's go all in and make this team even better than our Super Bowl contending team from years ago. A couple years ago.
The thing is, I think they could sign Flacco's kind of a lot of money. That's the problem. So they have $10 million left, by the way, for this year. And it would take all of that to sign Kyle Fuller. But Kyle Fuller, did you see, by the way, okay, before I say anything on that, did you see why they had to? So Kyle Fuller is an all-pro corner. The Bears had to drop him because they brought in
Andy Dalton.
How do you explain that to your fan base?
Duh, Bears.
I mean, our defense is really good, but we don't have a quarterback. I guess that's how you say it. But Kyle Fuller's going to have a ton of suitors, man. He's great. He's such a good corner. The thing is, like, I think Flacco's a really good option for Jimmy because he's shown. I feel like he kind of has that vibe. He's won a Super Bowl. He kind of gives me that Foles vibe. Like, he's a good playoff quarterback, you know? Like, if Jimmy were to go down, I would have faith in him more than a lot of other backups, you know? Kind of like a Foles, you know? Like, take over the reins in the playoffs.
Man, I was just going to say, when the Bills, backtracking here, signed Trubisky, having a good backup quarterback, as we saw with the Eagles, right, with the Foles play in the Super Bowl, dude, that speaks dividends, right? Like, the Eagles literally have a Super Bowl because they had a comparable backup that was able to put up big numbers when it mattered.
It's also confidence, too, though, and I don't know if Mitchell Trubisky is the most confident quarterback after being undercut all these years in Chicago, getting pulled in,
I mean, like,
out,
skill, I mean, like, having skill, and I was also kind of bouncing that back to what we were just saying with Joe Flacco and having him in a big game. Like, just having a good backup is important, and that's something that we lacked last year with Nick Mullins and with Beathard.
Yeah, we couldn't. We were so hurt last year. There was no point in signing or trading for a really good backup. I do think Joe Flacco would be a very, very, very. He'd be one of the best backups in the league.
If you're gonna have Jimmy Garoppolo as your starting quarterback, you best have a player that can fill in those shoes because that was the biggest issue last year.
Don't you think Joe Flacco? But then we wouldn't be able to get Kyle Fuller. Joe Flacco's probably going to ask for $10 million.
Yeah, but if Jimmy goes down, which is likely considering his injury history, great, you have Kyle Fuller and you have a great defense. But who's your quarterback? Rosen?
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Why don't they draft a quarterback with their first round pick, and he could be the backup, and they have Kyle, and they could get Kyle Fuller.
I'm all for that. I just don't know how much Shanahan puts trust into a rookie. Even though I feel like rookie quarterbacks
Mac Jones. I'm saying, sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Even though I feel like rookie quarterbacks in this day and age are more NFL ready than they've ever been.
Yeah. Well, because the offenses are more like college offenses now. They're high scoring and stuff. The pro style has completely changed.
Well, it's a passing league now.
It's a passing league. Even though the Niners don't do a ton of passing, but I do think that I'm biased. Alabama, but I think Mac Jones is I think he has he's kind of like a Jimmy Garoppolo in the way that he's not as mobile, and but you saw him. You were with me during the national championship game. He's way more accurate, and he doesn't throw interceptions. Mac Jones does not throw picks. He set the NCAA record for completion percentage. He had 77%. That was better than the BYU guy who had 74%.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there, Dean.
I would like him if they were to pick someone, and he would be there at the 12. But anyways, to go back, so we went down that tangent. The last thing I'd like to say about free agency. I am surprised that Kenny Golladay still hasn't signed with anyone, and it's not surprising, but Juju Smith-Schuster is still out there.
Hey man, Juju Smith-Schuster, say what you want about him, still put up good numbers last year in the slot. 80 catches, 8 touchdowns. Not a bad season for having Big Ben out there who, in my opinion, should be retired.
Yeah, but he wants to get paid. Like, the reason, so I've heard a lot of talk, Florio, Sims, a bunch of other writers. He wants wide receiver 1 money. And he has proven, after Antonio Brown left, he's not a wide receiver 1. And the cap is at 185. The cap dropped. So he wants an amount of money per year that he's not going to get. So what I think he should do, and I heard Florio's credit for this, I think he should go somewhere where he's the number 1 option for a year and then get paid next year. I would do a 1-year contract. And Golladay too, to be honest, because they're not going to get big contracts when the cap went down. The first time it's gone down since like 2010 or something. The cap's supposed to go up to 220 next year. So it's going to go up $35 million.
Good points there, Dean. Just taking a look here. Colgate is up by 1
nice.
in the second quarter with it's a tie game, actually, 9 minutes to go.
Oh, looks like old Florida got the lead with 48 seconds left.
And yeah, you love to see that, right, Dean?
Love it. Oh man, Arkansas. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, Illinois is blowing out Drexel.
What did I say about that Colgate though? I know there's only there's a lot to go here, but
9 minutes. No, they
hanging around.
They're tough.
Hey man,
should we just go over some NBA picks and then call it?
Yeah, let's quickly run through the NBA here because I'm in full.
We'll do it quick.
I'm in full college mode. I don't know about you.
It is college mode. Yeah.
I don't know about you, Dean, but when college basketball tournament's on, the NBA kind of goes into
the back seat.
It goes in the back for a little bit, man. It's just not the same.
How about we just do Golden State, Memphis, Minnesota, Phoenix, and Dallas, Portland. Let's just call the spreads or the bets on those.
Okay, so Warriors are going to be underdogs here without Stephen Curry.
And Kelly Oubre's out, by the way, which is huge.
I would take Memphis -8. I don't think the Warriors can put enough points up against Ja, and it's going to be hard for the Warriors right now too because they're fighting for that spot.
Yeah,
they just don't have the players.
They're inconsistent. I don't know. I think the Warriors can cover. I'm going to take Memphis to win the game. I think the Warriors could come with an 8 though. You think Memphis is going to win by 8 points? Yeah, Steph's out. Okay. Steph's out. What am I saying?
That's their whole offense, my guy.
No, that's their whole offense. I think they could give them a good showing. I don't know. It's kind of a trap game, I feel like, for Memphis because it looks like the Warriors are totally going to lose this, but I'm cool with that. Memphis to cover -8. What about Minnesota, Phoenix?
Minnesota and Phoenix. Let me check out the spread on that.
By the way, did you just see Edwards put up 42 points in his last game?
Yeah, I would take Phoenix here.
What's the spread?
I would take them -11.
-11. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
They just lost to them. They're not going to lose twice.
And Minnesota's like, can't trust them. Dallas, Portland's going to be a great game.
Dallas, Portland will be. I think I'm going to take the Mavs -3.5. Man, I like what I've seen with them thus far in the second
CJ
half.
McCollum's come back, man.
Yeah, but he really hasn't been that much of a factor. His limits have been limited. His minutes have been limited. And
I know what you meant.
He hasn't scored over like 12 points.
And Dallas has been like crazy hot. Didn't they beat the?
They just beat the Clippers.
The Clippers. Yeah.
Man, the Dallas.
Luka's been on a tear, man.
Dude, if Dallas ends up playing the Clippers, they really want to beat them after what happened last year. So.
And Dallas finally got hot. They were like dragging their butts all season. Yeah, I'm cool with that. So Dallas to cover 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's safe. Yeah. Okay, so we're doing Memphis to cover -8, Phoenix to cover -11, and Dallas to cover -3.5.
We took all three of the favorites here, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right, Dean.
Stoked for the newsletter.
Pretty good episode here, and I look forward to talking with you on Monday and
we'll
going
see
over
how
those matchups.
We'll see how the round of 32 matches up. Be great.
Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be on Spotify soon.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.